I'm sitting here in what I call my studio room. Me and my roommate Caleb kind of had the vision for this room. It's like, we got some lights, we got some recording equipment. This is kind of where we'll just record content. Caleb works on music in here. It's not like professional studio, but it's the studio room of our apartment. But this is where I would like to introduce you to the idea that I was talking about, the thing that's been on my heart. I am actually launching a podcast this upcoming week called Dreamer Boy Podcast. And as you guys can see, I got my podcast microphone sitting up right here. Got the couch over there where my guest will hang out. I'll be sitting right here doing the podcast. And this is like a really exciting thing for me. It's something that the Lord put on my heart actually a year ago during the 40-day fast that I did in 2020. It was in March. I can look up the specific date, but I had a dream where I was sitting before a podcast microphone, and in the dream there was a donut around the microphone. I was talking in the microphone and there was a donut around it. And it was a very simple dream, but I woke up and I felt like all of a sudden I felt like this excitement had just been dropped into my heart to start a podcast, and I felt like I had a whole vision for it. And when I look back at the dream, I love dreams. It's one of the ways that the Lord speaks to me, amongst many other ways. But donuts are always really significant to me in my dreams because they represent the bread from heaven. And you might be like, man, Nathan, what the heck does that mean? And for me, when I think of the bread of heaven, I think of the scriptures in John chapter 6 specifically, where Jesus says, I am the bread of life. And then he goes on to explain that the manna from heaven, the bread from heaven that the Israelites, the Hebrews, ate back in Moses' day, he goes, that was me. And he goes, you have to eat of my flesh and drink of my blood, that whole thing. But he goes, I'm the bread of life. So whenever I see donuts in dreams, I believe they represent the bread from heaven, at least they do to me. And so when I saw the donut on the podcast microphone, what I felt like the Lord was saying through the dream was that he was going to be all over the podcast. And so if you think that's weird, that's okay. That's kind of how the Lord speaks to me. It's kind of our personal love language, if you will, although he can speak to you that way too, if you have an ear to hear. So anyways, I'm launching this podcast. It's called Dreamer Boy Podcast. Number one, I named it that because I dream in the night, like I said just a minute ago. But also, number two, I feel like I'm just a dreamer in general. I have big aspirations and I like to go for it, and I feel like I don't really have a cap in my mind or in my heart of what I feel like I can accomplish in the Lord. If he puts something on my heart, I want to go for it. So I'm a dreamer boy. And so anyways, my heart for the podcast is to bring on my missionary friends and interview them. Basically, I want to talk about testimonies. I want to hear testimonies of how people got the gift of tongues. I want to hear testimonies of how people were free from addiction. I want to hear testimonies of encounters with the Lord. And I'm going to bring, some of my good friends on here. I live on a missionary base. I've been in full-time missions for the last 3 years, and I have some pretty cool stories to share with you guys, but mostly want to share testimonies about Jesus, to provoke a greater love for Jesus. And I want people who listen to it to hear the stories, and I want them to get excited about what is available to them in the Lord and what they can go after. So I'm so excited to launch Dreamer Boy Podcast, and I am filming my first episode, I believe, on Tuesday. And so I'll get you guys all the details, but this is my first announcement. Dreamer Boy Podcast is coming at you, and I think you're really going to like it. if you love Jesus and you love awesome Jesus stories. So bless you guys. Keep a lookout for other announcements concerning the podcast because it is coming for you. All right? All right. Bye-bye.